Yes, everybody. Monday, innit? It's Monday. Russ of the West Ham Network. Hope you're all safe and well from your end here. You know what to do. Just give it a like. Help us out, please. We're on the road to 25,000 subs. So, yeah, we'd love to get it before the end of the year. Maybe. Strange things happen to see. Obviously, the start of crazy. Well, it's not really crazy month, crazy 6 weeks, really, or say 5 weeks, as we have all these games. Obviously, we play Burnley, tick. Then we travel to Serbia for the game on Thursday. We talk a little bit about back at Topola in Hammer's headlines later on this afternoon. Then we're back at London Stadium for Crystal Palace. A few injury crises there as well. Eze went off injured and a few others. Then we get to Spurs, who themselves are literally about 2/3 of their team are injured. And then we play Fulham. So three London derbies, that's the word, Russ, in quick succession. Then back at London Stadium for Freiburg, which could be the decider in terms of who goes up. Automatic, who wins the group becomes second. Then we've got Wolves, Liverpool in the cup, and then Man United at home, and then we have Christmas and the 28th Arsenal away. So there's plenty of games there, and we'll keep you all busy in the West Ham Network. So make sure you don't miss a thing by hitting the bell notification. We'll also have the start of our Advent calendar as well. That'll open up on Friday. How exciting for everyone. So, as we always do the day after the night before, we will do the player ratings in a bit as well. So we'll go through them. And yeah, all that fun of the fair, really. Mike, we got away with it and hit and run criminal afternoon. We did. Burnley snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. They did. And to be honest, and again, there's, we see different opinions. Look, there's no doubt. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you are in. You're happy that you won, but you're not happy with how you won. I think everyone can agree with that. We're happy we got the 3 points because you've got to be happy because you're a West Ham fan. You want to win a game, yes, but you're not happy with the way it was won. In terms of the performance. Performance was rubbish game. We turned up for the last 20 minutes. And 2 moments of genius from Mohamed Kudus. And that's why you pay £45 million for someone like that. He is a game changer. He's a match winner. And we've got a couple of them. One of them was injured in terms of Bowen. Bowen could win a game on his own. So could Kudus. And so can Paqueta as well. And, Kudus came up with the goods. And for me, from a player's perspective and a fan's, because, it was a last-minute winner. Everyone was happy. You could see the team coming off buzzing. And that's what you need for so many games coming up. It's about momentum. It's about breeding win. And, and we won a game which we shouldn't have won. And we won it, and so that'll breed confidence. Because back at Topola they ain't doing too shabby at the moment, but we'll talk about that at Hammer's headlines. Hope you all, Scott. Nice to see you. I smashed it. Good on you, Matt. And if you hit just go down there and hit the like button. It goes. It's very fun. Ralph, good evening to you. Good morning. Got an awful game, but take the 3 points exactly. And I think that's the party line. I think everyone can agree. Afternoon, Papa. Nice to see you. Yeah, not bad. It's always easy on a Monday when we've won on the weekend, isn't it? Everyone's talking to each other. Nice to see. The only game that scares me in the run is the Arsenal. The rest are winnable games. Liverpool away, probably not. But I agree. Yeah, the rest are winnable. I think the rest are winnable. I think Spurs at the moment. I think the honeymoon is over a little bit for Ange at the moment, it seems. Was that three losses on the bounce? 3 losses. I think there's only about 2 or 3 sides ever have lost 3 games in a row where they've won, or they've been up or something like that. It was in the sky, some really weird thing. And someone shared me, we're like the 3rd top goal scorers in the Premier League or something ridiculous as well. If you had switched managers and companies managing our players, what would the score have been? Interesting question, Scott. I thought defensively, Burnley was shit. I thought they played nice football in the middle. I thought a couple of shots on top, and people are saying, "Oh yeah, there's a championship side," and the side that got them up, most of them on the bench. If you listen to Dan, he was actually a Burnley, actually a Burnley fan rather than us looking out, looking in. He was, from out in. He was saying that they spent a lot of money for Burnley, 100 million quid. It's nothing to be sniffed at. And most of the guys like Josh Cullens of this world, people like that, were all on the bench, and the others were on loan. Like Ian Marston, Hayward Bellis. These guys got them promoted, and so it's a completely different side. I thought Sander Berger was good. I thought Vinny Company showed a bit of naivety as a manager, taking off the right wing back Calistello, who was the best player on the pitch, I thought, because then he was giving Sufo a complete torrid time, and it freed up Kudus. Kudus spent the first 60 minutes of that game playing as a second right back, and actually it kept Kudus out of the game. And I thought, actually, Company, a bit naive. It was a poor sub, in my opinion, because that changed the game. Like, that sub changed the game. Yes, ours changed it as well, because I think Divine made a forward approach and looked a lot more balanced with Ben Rome on the left-hand side. But that change by them made a huge difference. So, although, it would have been probably different football, I don't think that was quite a naive thing to do, in my opinion. You caressed the button. Nice to see. Burnley were pretty pony too. They were. I can see us going to 9. Oh, could you imagine? Jesus, there'll be a meltdown everywhere. First half, we were dog poo. Second half, we were poor, but we got what we needed indeed. They screwed up when they took it. Totally, Ralph. So, and that not they, Vinny Company screwed up there. He cost them that game. Because I think if he'd stayed on, I don't think we would have got a win at all. Don't care how badly we played. 3 points. How many times we played a blind of a game and then lose? I revert back to when, particularly the COVID years, coming out of London Stadium on my Todd, thinking, how the fuck did we win that game? The other side were all over us, and we were clinical when we needed to be. And it hasn't been no different, I don't think. Evening, Alan. How are we going to handle the next 6 weeks of Moyes ball with the boring style we saw Saturday? Fair dinkum, mate. Well, fair dinkum, mate. Bowen and Antonio back. We all know that Moyes will flog them. I think when you look at that game, but the thing is, everyone's in the same boat, Alan. Everyone's December. If they're in Europe and in the cups, which to us most of the top 8 are, will suffer. There's a lot of games to play, and even the likes of Spurs have got 6 players out, 7 players out. Fingers crossed, we'll have Bowen back for, I imagine, the Palace game potentially if the fluid on the knee goes down. I wouldn't bother even entertaining him on the plane to Serbia. And Antonio, I'm not so concerned about, to be honest, because I think it's Divine's time, or Divin, but Divine time sounds nice. It's about that Divine time. Oh, that's a Lizzo song, isn't it? I should have done that. Will he play him? I don't think so. I think you'll see. I think Divin will start on Thursday. I can see him starting Thursday, and again, it's his opportunity now. If he scores again, well, no, he got chalked off. But if he, scores again, so to speak, then you've got to put yourself in the then you got Palace at home. Palace themselves, Eze's out. I think you see a lot more. I think Divine will get a lot more game time this week. Or next few weeks for sure. Unlike Scots, Burnley can't defend them again. Neither can we sometimes. We would have smashed them. Difference between a coach and a Moyes. Maybe when Moyes goes, he can get a job as a bricklayer. If we win the Carabao Cup, there's a decent chance does Moyes get a new contract. That's what I've been saying, Scott. In my opinion, again, this is my opinion. If we end up, if the club offer David Moyes a new contract, it's because he's done something good this season, something extraordinary this season. So it could be win a Carabao Cup. First time ever we've won the League Cup, I believe. Got to the final a few times. Or we've, God forbid, qualified for Champions League. I was like, something, I think, exemplary, in my opinion, because he's sort of not a dead man walking, but what was leaked from the club, and that Steindl. the thing is, it's like this project that Steinton's is involved in and wants to bring on. Whether it, it needs to start. It does need to start, and so I think the likelihood it's not going to start until the summer at the earliest, because it just isn't. And it doesn't matter what, how many tweets someone says or how much airtime people give them on radio or what. It ain't going to happen until the summer. So we might as well strap ourselves in. And when Nick said the other day when he'd rather have the season over, I can understand that from his perspective. I really can. When Tottenham left it up, indeed. Come on, Russ, we can get a result at Anfield if we play well. Yeah, we can do. Particularly also because Liverpool's two games either side are quite tricky. They've got Arsenal, they've got Man United and Arsenal. We've got Wolves and Man United, and to be honest, there's more pressure on them to maintain their the Premier League charge, so to speak. So the game in the middle isn't going to be as the Carabao Cup for them, it's they've got bigger fish to fry. Let's be honest, they have. Stir in the pot. Oh, we love stir in the pot. Scott, are you eating funny mushrooms? Burnley need Granny Ings. Just wake up. 5:30. Will Moyes no. I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't bother. If Burnley go down, I want, because he cuts out his diving. Yeah, he was diving quite a bit, but so was Paqueta. Proud dad at the moment. Hopefully take my first boy. Good, Matt. Good on you, son. Don't forget, Matt, if you email support services at westhamunited.com, they're on Twitter, they might be able to get the lad's picture up on the screen. Why not? You know what I mean? It's his first game. He took off winner and Kudus came to life. Indeed, because he pinned Kudus back, really. And so it was didn't really help. Lawrence, good evening to you. Happy well. It took Moyes over 1,000 games to win one trophy, yet people are expecting to win another after 50. I don't think they're expecting at all, Adrian. I don't know where these narratives come from. I think, the fact is he has won something, and he's won something in my lifetime in the same way that I could go through and, other managers who haven't won anything. I'm not expecting the, but we're through to the quarterfinals. So, I think if we got to the semis, there's a chance you're going to either play, you've got a 50-50 chance when you're in the semis. 50-50? No. 33% chance in the semis that you'll be drawn against Middlesbrough or Port Vale. And then you got to think you're through to the final. So, you're 3 games away, but you got the toughest game, Liverpool. But I'm not expecting Moyes to win a trophy. I've waited 43 years. Sometimes they are like buses, though, Adrian. Let's be honest. And West Ham do have a tendency to win something and then get to a final or win, so go back 80, won the FA Cup, and then League Cup 81. I think same in the 60s. I think 65 was it FA, then Cup winners. And and it would have been 75 we won the FA Cup and got to the final, didn't we? The Cup Winners' Cup. So, we do tend to have so who knows? Happened again, didn't it? When we went up in 2004-5 season, then we got to the FA Cup season after. So who knows, isn't it? What are we? But if we're in terms of, I don't know, in terms of expectations, we're never going to win the Premier League, are we? In all honesty, unless there was even less so now with FFP and stuff like that. I mean, look at Newcastle. Money Newcastle could spend, and they don't because of FFP. Whereas, but we are a cup side. But thing is, we haven't won a cup for 43 years until last year. Anyway, Barry, hope you're well. Good to see you. Happy 3 points. Totally different with your comments. It could have been so different with a different. Could have been. Yeah, it could have been. Could have been. But then again, he ain't the Messiah. He's just a naughty boy because he taking off Calistino did change the game, and he'll take. You have to take that on the chin. That one, raining Ramsgate. Rain generally going to be important. Yes, it's raining in Hornchurch today. What's more important, results despite crap performance, or the West Ham way? Oh, I think there's a. Why can't you have both? I don't. And again, I think the West Ham way. Again, I think it's an interesting question, because I think the trouble is when the West Ham way was the West Ham, which Sam Allardyce took the piss out of and stuff in interviews. He was like, when was the last time the West Ham way had? I think the trouble was that was in a pre-Premier League era or early Premier League era was probably the last time we played the West Ham way, which would probably have been the Redknapp era, in all honesty, for a consistent amount of time. I know he sort of played that season with Payet, but if it wasn't for Payet, we weren't playing the West Ham way. And as soon as we went to London Stadium, it didn't happen. So consistently would have been the Redknapp era. And since then, money in the game has gone. Whew. And I've shown, and I think now, unfortunately, it is about maintaining it about and people, it is about maintaining your Premier League survival first and foremost, and then building on that. We've always been up to 40 points. We have always been, let's get 40 points to fold. That's always been the West Ham way. That is the West Ham way, to not get relegated, to not be a yo-yo side. And I think there's a situation there now. I think people realise, oh yeah, but it doesn't matter. People's jobs are on the line if we get relegated. I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen Betty the Tea Lady, who's been there for 40, 50 years, having to either take a pay cut or leave. And I think people don't see that. People see the football's on the pitch, but there's hundreds of people behind the scenes who are working, whose livelihood is dependent on the football club. Same as when we was at Upton Park, we were. I mean, I think my first game, we never used to see. I think my first game was like 12, 13,000 at Upton Park. People have this sort of utopian view that we sold out Upton Park every week. We didn't, particularly when we were in the second division. We didn't. Sometimes we did for the bigger games, but not every game. Whereas at London Stadium, I think apart from maybe a couple of the European games, we do sell out every week. And I think in the Premier League, you do because you become attractive. But I know what you mean. I understand what you mean. But I think when was generally the last time we played the West Ham way proper? For me, it's about having a go. The players having a go. It's players like, I can never criticise Thomas Souček's effort. I can never criticise Vladimir Soufal's effort. The application I can criticise, but not the effort. And for me, that's about it. Thinking about people, I was listening to Claret & Boots a little bit. It's my guilty pleasure on a Sunday for 20 minutes or so. And they were saying, people like Craig Dawson, people like, yeah, that's for me. That's what it is. There's a reason why we still, we love the people like Ginger Pele and stuff like that. Just is. Here's a question. When was the last time we actually played a whole game where we looked good? No, I can't remember either. I know. I'm very bad. Right. I hear loves a good night on the town in Serbia. Was it Serbia? It's Czech Republic, wasn't it? Does anyone actually I don't know. I feel like every channel has I'm going to quit Divin because then I'll get, possibly Zoom Heitzke was possibly responsible for that performance. What could have been? Could some tell our players not to argue with the ref? Tell me about it. Moyes out. It would have to be an incredible turn of events to get me thinking of that as someone watches home and away. It's turgid 9% of the time. Indeed, Ken. I appreciate that. Burnley had a striker, they would have beaten us, but they didn't. And that's the thing. Everyone's gone. The rhetoric is, oh, but if they had this and and if but things it hadn't. That's the result. That's the result in the score in the results book for the rest of the results book for the rest of the year. And so it is in the same way that if we'd got that VAR decision against Chelsea, our season may have been completely different, but we didn't. And we have to move on now. Russ, why are we not playing free-flowing football with his squad? Because Moyes has never played free-flowing football in his life. So there we go. Love watching expressions throw a fit when they lose. I put my hands up and shout Spursy, Spursy indeed. Our fan base is split at the moment between I don't think split. I think the thing, as I said, I've always said that there's a spectrum. I've said it's a spectrum many, many times. You've got people, and I think people assume you're either one or the other. And I don't think people are. You've got people who are very Moyes in, and are passionate about that. You have people who are very Moyes out and very passionate about that. And you've got a whole raft of people in the middle who are, as I said, I think it was Steve 50 said it, are Moyes neutral. And they are. And I think the trouble is we see a microcosm. We see 3 or 4 people on one side and 3 or 4 people on the other, and all they do is banter against each other. Because you see, it's not 100% one way, and it will never be 100% one way because we've got our own opinions, and that's what's important. I think the whole London Stadium thing is an interesting caveat to everything, but again, we can't do anything about it now. And I think and again, as I said, I remember going to Upton Park many times, and the football was dire. I remember playing Leeds We lost 3-0. I remember it so well because it was pissing it down 3-0 on an evening game. And we had, God bless him, Steve Jones and Mike Newell up front. And we looked toothless. That's not the West Ham way. Anyway, what was your take on why Paqueta does not feature on the calendar? Because they probably thought he was gone in the summer until the betting thing came out, in all honesty. Why could we not start with Mbama and Benny with just two in midfield? Because that's not Moyes' way. And I'm not, and I'd love it. I'd love to. But we know it's not going to happen. Souček does the aeroplane due to his so many head injuries. It's not going to help, is it? Let's spin him. Come on. When did we ever play the West Ham way? We have the squad to play the West Ham way. Benny has a new agent. Saudis may want him. That's what Holly spoke about it yesterday. I think Benny will be one of the casualties for our January transfer spree. And I call it spree, but it might only be one or two players coming in. I think that's because he's probably only reasonably. There's a couple. There's him and there's another player, which I'll probably talk about tomorrow, who will probably sell on for maybe even a profit, but a fair bit of money. And I think that will fund our striker, maybe a left back, maybe another CDM. That's the way I've said it. Ricky, having been in print all my life, I know things take time to produce. Pecker was pleased with his way out. Yeah, exactly. If Divin starts, I hope it's with another four. Won't be. It won't be. Under Brooking last time, when we were already pretty much relegated, weren't we? He had a go, didn't we? And he's still technically our most successful manager of all time, albeit with 14 appearances. And then obviously, but he didn't play that way in the beginning of the Championship. When he took over for a few games, but it was almost like a gung-ho approach. I don't think that would have worked across the whole season in the Premier League. I'm going to trust in Stein and stick behind the club. Yep, me, 85, love that football under Mac. Yeah, indeed. Well, the season before we almost went down, didn't we? The season after, if I remember. How much is potato salad worth? 9 in 8. Yeah, you got to give it to him. All right, let's go for thoughts on Bergwijn. If it's a straight swap for Benny, I think it'd be great. I think it's a great shout, because also what it does is it forces us to play him. It forces us to play him if we buy him. Do you know what I mean? So at the moment, Moisey hasn't played Benrahma because he's probably said, well, I've got Alvarez and I've got JWP and I've got Paqueta, and how am I going to fit them all in? And I've got Kudus and I've got Bowen, and he's already sort of had to drop Antonio in terms of shuffling the pack a little bit. And I think if you got Bergwijn in for 25 million, maybe, see, I think he's only 26, so he's sort of he hasn't even really hit his peak yet. I think it'd be fantastic. I think he'd be a really good player. And he gives you that left-hand side, whereas we've got, and I think Anton did a show about it earlier today, really good. West Ham way, the 80 minutes on Saturday was not the West Ham way. I totally agree. Souček scores, which is way more fun. Which is way more than many of the fan favourites. To be honest, I think Souček will go down as a cult hero at West Ham, because you look at him, he scored a lot of goals. He puts his body on the line. He's not the most technical gifted in the way, but I just think he's a he puts his heart on his sleeve, and we want that. And so, yeah, I've always thought I thought he was all right. I want Lucas as a 10, Bone on the right, Kudus on the left, or would you keep it as is? Well, he won't play the right hand. He won't play Kudus on the left, because he would have done that already. So, but I agree. I want Lucas to be in the. Yeah, I don't. I think him as a 10, he brings more. He brings more to it. Although he's sort of on as a left back, he's not really left wing. Rather, he is more of a. He just cuts inside, doesn't he? And that's it, really. So it's always surprised me. I never really understood why he went out there, but I think it was only to accommodate for all the new signings as well, it seemed. Yeah. I just don't. I don't get it. What position are we most like to improve? What are we most to improve? Less striker, right back, whether they're on loan or an area. Yeah, I think I think striker is, by what we've been told, is the main focus. And then I think he wants. I think he sees. We talk about Hammer's headlines. We talk about a left back. And for me, I want a CDM. Just to cover for Alvarez, because the lad's going to get suspended all the time. I mean, the other day, even again got yellow cards for complaining at the ref, and he's going to pick up yellow cards, the odd red card every season because the way he plays, and we seem a bit toothless when he's not there. We haven't got a direct replacement for him. All the other positions we do, I think. Maybe not left back or right back, really, like a proper replacement. So that's what I would do. We are winning despite Moyes and his lack of technique. He is lucky the players are playing for each other. Starting Ings was the icing on the cake for me. In the middle, I don't like Moyes, but I always back the manager and players. I mean, that's the same as me. How can you be very Moyes in? I understand people respect him because of what he's done, but to want him to stay for longer, he's bonkers. Some people do, Kai. Some people do, mate, and some people want him out. And as Navi says, he's in the middle. He's, and I think there's a big percentage who are in the middle. And that's not saying they're happy with the style of football, but they're not shouting at the top of the roofs that they want him gone. And I think that's it. I think people see people who shout loudest either side and assume that's the debate, and it's not really, because sometimes I think people on either side of the fence who do shout from the rooftops and shout loudest do it a little bit because they like a little bit of not drama, but they like a bit of back and forth and a bit of banter. And I think some people get really, really, what's the word? Get really, really het up about it. Het up, is that the right word? I don't know. Afternoon, Peter. Hope you're well. Nice to see you. We can dream of Champions League. Doesn't mean it will happen. Fans are not all splits. They don't have all social media, so they don't get a fair reflection and understanding. Ain't that bad? I don't think it's that bad. I don't. And I particularly some of the UK. Obviously, you go home and away, and so from your vantage points as well, you'll be able to. Given that, I don't think no. And that's what I'm saying. I don't think they will split. I don't think they are. But there is a spectrum. I think that's fair enough. And as I said, some people don't have social media at all. And if you talk to them, I talk to a lot of people at these ex-player nights and stuff who don't watch YouTube and they don't do Twitter and they don't do Facebook and and some of them are hate Moyes. Some people think he's all right. That's it. I tell Zoomer in Jan. Do we need to offload Russ and Jan? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We do. And it's we had to do the same thing in the summer. Realistically, we couldn't do any big buying until he went, until Mr. Rice had gone. And then we could start buying. Same as this summer, same as this January as well. And again, look at Everton. They got a 10-point deduction for their new stadium costs, for 20 million on top of their, extra on their stadium, not even do the team. So, if they do that for Everton, can you imagine what they'll do for us? Don't forget the Tevez saga. They never helped us with that, despite the fact we'd done everything right. Our owners are tightwads, buy the stadium, develop the area, and build state-of-the-art training facilities. Can we stop talking about the Moyes way? His way is flawed. Michael, hope you well. What result? But must play better. Totally agree. There we go. I start is that of a poor man trying to stay up. Shouldn't be this way with the talent we have. I totally agree, Irish Tommy. I totally agree with you. It shouldn't be this way, but it is. And it's because the person in charge is the person who plays that way. So, and he's always played that way. And that's why we're saying that actually he's good at something, but then now we need to go to the next level. And I don't think it's in his wheelhouse, so to speak. And that's not a dig at Moyes. It's some people are good at something, some people are good at other things, some people are good at, some people are quite creative, some people aren't very creative, more pragmatic. And so I think there's come to a point there where actually we're setting up to be a different side from the ground up. We've got the more continental style of management set up now with Tim Stainton. So that in turn would mean a continental style head coach rather than a manager coming in. And that will eventually happen. But it won't happen till the summer, because I don't think the people or persons that they want will be available. And so for me, even like letting Johnny Heitinger, that's a risk. A risk, and that's a risk I don't think they'll take. They're risk averse director. Everyone's risk averse, it seems, to the manager upwards. So, I don't think that a decision will be made until maybe that manager or that head coach rather comes available, or there's a downturning form. Every manager's way is flawed at some point, Trini. Yeah, look at Vinny Company. He lost in that game. Do you have any information on terms of Tim's contract? I think it's longer than a year deal. What we got here. It has to be Antonio's last year at almost 34. Surely we are lining up that elusive front man we desperately need. Surely. I think we are. I don't think that the one is like. I mean, we were like linked to like 7, 8 forwards, weren't we? Very, very quick succession. But I think we'll probably not a stopgap, but I think we'll get someone in for that striker role for January, and I think with the idea of getting a more of a permanent replacement in summer. I don't know how many lows we think in January. We're not sure who will be the manager next season. Exactly, that's what I think we'll do. Probably a deal and a few others. So, Bergwijn is useful as a sack of spuds, according to the Dutch media on Hammer's chat. Sutik Sims and Kayuta, open play, although never scored. Great shout. Why can't we scout players who suit our style rather than giving names and other teams cast-offs? Well, I think we are now. That's what I think we are now, Trini. We are scouting for players, and I said something that Tim Steiner does very well is look at players who maybe have gone under the radar. Maybe they haven't performed well, i.e. Bergwijn, for example, but statistically, and maybe he's watched him for a long time. He knows that he's could do this, or he's done that at other clubs and stuff like that. In terms of, we don't really. We've been linked with lots of people who no one ever knows about, no one's ever heard of, really. And the cast lot. So I think we would pick up someone who. So maybe someone like Timo Werner, for example, had a crap time at Chelsea, but Steiner knows all about him with his first period in the Bundesliga, and he's not really getting into RB Leipzig side at the moment because they've got so many good strikers ahead of him. So I think it's a cast off. I think that's fair to say. But in the past, definitely, whether we can get a hold of in terms of like Danny Ings, for example, I'd play Souček at striker. There we go. It's clear that drill the players on the training ground, give and go, find space. What Moyes does in training, baffling. No idea, my friend. Flynn down CDM. But can he do it though? That's the thing. You don't know, Raf. Everything's a risk, isn't he? He's playing well for Southampton in the championship at the moment. He started very poorly for Southampton. I think he's a good player. I don't know whether he's the answer to that CDM role. For me, he's a bit more of a ball. For me, he's like a replacement for someone like JWP in terms of a bit of a ball player. I mean, he had something like the highest pass completion rate of any English player, English midfielder or English player entirely the season we bought him. I think he's more of a passer rather than a blocker. The bloke from Torino, 10 million, 28, 27, I think he would be a good shout. The West Ham way would be to beat Liverpool and lose. That is the West Ham way. You're totally right. New owners will have a vision of the future. They will get a manager with philosophy. It's not manager, head coach. They've got it all sorted with Tim Steiner. That's the thing. We've got to get the rhetoric out of the way now. The next manager, David Moyes, is in all likelihood will be the last manager West Ham will ever have, unless it all fucks up. In that from then on to be head coaches. Steinton will sort out all the transfers and all the football. He's the technical director, and the head coach will be the head coach. And there'll be in consultation in terms of who he wants to bring, who he'd like, what areas he'd like to progress, and there'll be a conversation. But it'll be Tim's way or the highway, in all honesty. Good luck in the cup. You can win this. Thank you. Has Moyes turned us into a cup team? He's better at cup football than he is in the league. His win rate in cup games, particularly in Europe, was very strong. We won 17 on spin, or was it 17 on spin? Lost in 18, or whatever, something ridiculous like that. Anyway, let's go through this. Do you want to watch good football, or are you happy with just getting over the line and getting results? Kai, go to the beginning. I want both. But I think the trouble is now is at the moment we have a manager who doesn't play a free flowing style of football, who has never played a free flowing style of football. That will change. And I mean, look back at previous, look back at Wenger, look back at Mourinho. I mean, these guys didn't play free flowing football. They played good football at times, but a lot of times Mourinho, a lot of shithousing, Antonio Conte as well. So I think I've never said, as I said from the beginning, I think you can agree, Kai, that you're happy with 3 points, but you're not happy with the way we played. And that's the same as me. No difference there. Is that Bournemouth striker his main target? If so, I'll be disappointed. I'd be surprised by £40 million for a striker, where we could probably buy a better one in Bundesliga league off about half the price. Right, let's go through a few of these. I didn't realise we were going to be chatting for so long. I remember watching Leeds. Yeah, we had 2 set off. Yeah, awful game, wasn't it? I prefer to be linked to other players. I totally agree. Fact remains, we struggle too much against teams we should be beating handsomely. Don't forget we lost to Burnley 3. Don't forget that Burnley game against, was it at home 3-0, weren't it? We lost, and everyone's and then Bowles ran on the pitch and put the flag in. And, we inherently never do well against those types of sides. I'd still keep Mike till 2020, but use him how Leicester use Vardy. Yeah, if that's a feat, if that works. I have a feeling that Heidegger was brought in to be his successor, but was so terrible defending. If he learns some noise, you can have a complete manager. Would be nice. I don't think he is, though. Would you go for Grassi? Yes, I would. But whether we'll get him is another question. Although, get him for less than 20 million euros, but we'll see. Was Saturday the first time we didn't concede after 5 minutes? We did, though, didn't we? We did. The penalty was about 47, 48 minutes in, wasn't it? One thing I asked myself regarding Moyes in and out: how many games have we lost when playing well, as opposed to playing rubbish? You're right, and there's a narrative which says, look at his last 50 games, but then the narrative is, look at his games this season. I think he's won like 13 in all competitions. I think he's lost 4 or 5. He's drawn 3 or 4, so he's doing all right this season. So you can. Again, everything can be twisted to favour the narrative you're trying to portray. Are we still being it with Jonathan David? Jonathan David's coming to the end of his contract, I think, as well. So I think that's why potentially. We played Liverpool. We deserved at least a draw. Arsenal, we were a better team. Look at the City when they played Burnley. Burnley deserved a draw. Hard to race your game on the other side ain't good. Yeah, I totally agree. The complete manager doesn't exist. I agree. We should bring Carl Larin for peanuts. He would do the business. People seem to forget the players who are not great for one club leave and then come back to the Premier League and be a sensation. Mo Salah flopped at Chelsea. Great at Liverpool. Don't forget De Bruyne. De Bruyne, he went back to Werder Bremen. They got him on loan from Chelsea. He wasn't, let him go, and then he came back after going to Wolfsburg and was Kevin De Bruyne. It does happen. No team is too good to get relegated. Very true. Every time we are more dominating, we lose. We are terrible with the ball. It's not just Moyes. We had 3 or 4 starting players in order to play that football. I agree. Bang on, Scott. He is better than what we got up front at the moment in Mike and Ings. He is. I think anything at the moment. I think Ings has gone. You know what I mean? It's just like, yes. But then I feel sorry for him. I do feel sorry for him because, like, and again, it's what Trini was saying. Why not buy players to suit the system? We've never done that, have we? Really? You think? Look at the strikers we've had. We've had some bloody good strikers, and we buy a striker and then try and squeeze him in rather than find what size of striker we need. And, so just squeezing them into something which works. I think it's different now. And so I think, when we look at strikers, I think that's pre-Steinden. I think now it's a bit different now, and we've got there's a way that we're going to be playing and a setup, and buying players to fit that system, but also developing the youth team from within, from down up, in terms of playing the same style. So if we need Ollie Scars to come in, or Lewis Orford to come in, they're used to playing that style of football already. But yeah, what we got? Yeah, 33 points will keep you up, I reckon. Yeah, probably right. And we've got 20 already, Ken, after 13 games. So that's it. Trini says no to Werner, no to Bergwijn. Did you say no to Craig Dawson when we signed him? Or were you? Oh, what a great signing, isn't it? Hindsight's a great thing. Hindsight is a great thing. Must be some good talent in Oz that won't cost too much. Well, we did. We got the young lads from Perth Glory. He was on low. We've had him on trial. And so I think we've improved our scout network in Australia as well after going out there. You can't feel sorry for a player. You certainly can't. Not in that respect. Not in terms of his pay packet. In terms of him as a player, his personal pride must be hurt. Of course, it can be mended by 125 grand a week. Check, but for a professional player like Danny Ings, I think he would be really frustrated by by not doing what he can do as much. Don't forget that Targets wanted Maguire. All are doing well this season. They certainly are. Yeah, they are. They're doing well. Can someone in the post-match interviews ask Moyes bluntly, what are you doing playing Ings? Yeah, they never do. 4-0 goes that it could be a down spot. I do like Downs. I don't think you'll see Downs coming back. I'll be honest. I think they'll, and I think he's a good player, but I think they'll look to reinvest that money. Southampton might come up, or someone like that, and they might sign him permanently. Unfortunately, I think that's when an academy player goes to on loan, it's almost like as a development. I think when a player in the first team goes out on loan, usually it's like we've got nothing to do with you. And I think, unfortunately, that's going to be it for Downs. He's come back. He'll come back. He'll have, well, Paqueta might be around, might not be around, but he'll have Souček still around. He'll have Alvarez. He'll have JWP. So, he'll still be competing for a really, really tough spot there. Morning, Gary. Hope you're well. We could loan Antonio out to this Austrian side. But yes, we forgot about Andy Irvine. We forgot about him as well in midfield. We bought him, didn't we? Moyes never played to Scamacca's strengths. We didn't. That's the thing. You're right. He never played to Danny Ings' strengths. He never, when he came in, and obviously we had Haller in the ranks. Never played to his strengths, but even did Pellegrini. Really, you're totally right. Totally right. In the past, rather than buy a striker, it would have been cheaper just to sling 20 million down the drain. Solanke would fit us like a glove. Only problem, don't rate him. Only problem is 40. Yeah, I mean, is it just a lot of money? Ben Rama out Jota in, yes or no? Probably yes, but we won't get Jota in. We'll probably get what's his face, Bergwijn, by the sounds of it. Ajax, a lot of German teams have a philosophy for the under eights right through, seamless transition to the first team. There's a reason why we bought a lot of players from Ajax. I think there's a reason why we so heavily Eredivisie in terms of our signings and our things at the moment, because that's the idea what they want to look for. Rooney had no problem playing Rooney at 17. I think he was forced to play Rooney, really, and I think Mbama's someone similar who's been forced to play. With Dawson, I was disappointed when we signed him and he taped. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean, Trini. Sometimes on paper you think, really? But sometimes, and I love to be proved wrong. Love to be proved wrong. Moyes is the manager. We could not find a striker to fit the weight. Yeah, exactly. You tell you right. As much as I feel for Ings, I don't, because great strikers adapt their game to what football is being played. True, but if your game is all based on playing off a big man, on playing as a two, which it really is for Danny. If you're not playing with two, then you're relearning your game, and you played for so long, and you're not physically built to play that game. Why don't we loan Downs with a mute by? I don't know. Well, because I think at the time we wanted to get him in. Because also I think our homegrown quota needed up it up a little bit, and it was only about 10 million quid, wasn't he? I think something like that. So it was a good deal for English born player. But I think now, and also you got to think, come the summer, the likes of Fornals, Oggy, obviously non-homegrown players, they'll be out of the squad, so we won't be so much of a bind. We can promote some from the 18s or 21s then. And I think that was probably one of the reasons. I think that's one of the reasons why Connor Coventry's still around, to be honest. Russ, don't you think Kudus and Bone should be dropped for the Topola? Can use court? Who's court? I don't think not dropped. I don't think either should. I don't think Bowen should even be on the thing at all. Thank you very much. We've been linked with Solanke. Yeah, we have lots of times, surely. No one will know that Ings. No one will know more than Ings that he is a fish out of water. Yep, I totally agree. Last one for me for go out. Full force on Thursday. I'll mix up. Mix it up. There's no point. For me, it's mix it up. Have the first team on the bench or the others on the bench, and because you've got Crystal Palace at the weekend, and for me that's the important game. We could the Europa League is in our favour at the moment because of the way it's set up. So it's not on goal difference after it's same. It's head to head, and we've got a better head to head at the moment than Freiburg. So realistically, you could lose the Topola game and Freiburg win. You go 3 points up, and then you would need to beat Freiburg to go up. Yes, because you're guaranteed to go top, and you'd go top anyway. So I would mix it up a little bit. Any news of Bowen's injury, how long it's going to be out for? I don't know. I mean, I would expect maybe the Crystal Palace game will know more about it. It's whether the fluid on the knee's gone down a bit. But I mean, he apparently drove himself to training. So if it's that bad, you wouldn't drive to training, would you? KPWG, thank you for joining us. Channel member, thank you very much. KP will be entered into our December draw to win some nice West Hammy stuff. Every channel member gets entered in every month automatically, plus additional content, exclusive content, all that type of stuff. So thank you very much. I'm not sorry for Ings, square peg round hole, big boy. Yeah, totally right. Barca, I think he's good enough for them, but not for Moyes. Barca are trying to scrabble around for players at the moment. So Fornals is always ready to come back home. He's always ready to go back to Spain, and I think it's the right time for him. He's got a chance of getting into the Spanish squad if he's playing La Liga, probably more so than if he's in the Premier League and getting game time. I mean, Fornals played 50 games last season for West Ham. So it's not like, but he's not a first teamer, and he isn't. You're not going to tell me that Fornals is better than Alvarez. He's not better than Paqueta. Realistically, these are the people we've just spent God knows how much on JWP, so he's not going to go ahead of JWP. Souček, he's banging him in at the moment. So again, for him, there's not much choice. Born from 40, I think it'll be more like 50. They turned down 40 for us in the summer, so here we go. We've got a dedicated striker coach. We haven't got a dedicated striker coach. We have defensive coaches. Interesting to know. Ings only played great at Southampton. Played all right at Burnley as well. Fortunately, England lost spark at Villa. Wrong signing for West Ham, indeed. Right, I'm going to go. We didn't even go for the ratings. It wasn't a great game. Kudus got my man of the match. And that was only for the 2 bits of magic he did at the end, because actually no one really played very well at all in the whole game. There we go. End of. Keep an eye on Hammer's headlines. Tonight we'll talk about potential in, not Ings, potential in. We'll talk about the under-18s, and we'll talk about back at Topola and how they have warmed up for the game against us on Thursday. And they are very, very warm. Very warm. If you're new around here, don't forget to give it a little like. Give it a little like there and watch it go. Blah, blah, blah. It's very exciting. Give it a comment, give it a share, give it a subscribe. And I will see you in a few wee hours. Get the thumbs up, like Helen says. And until next time, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith, my friends. And come on, you bloody, bloody Irons. Irons!